you can write your whole strategy in a matter of hours or even minutes.
And I think one of the key elements here is that AI is really like at the level of a civil engineer that is amazing and can see patterns and stuff, but you need to give them the right context.
The problem with AI, obviously, is if you don't tweak it well enough, it's a very, very big generalist.
This is one of the most leveraged ways to use AI today.
Welcome to the Executive AI Show, the podcast about concrete AI usage in the life of an executive. Let's go!
Thomas, I would love for you to share with me how you built some foundational documents which kind of encapsulate the whole context of Q7 Leader, the business, and how it helped you prepare that board meeting and how you now use those documents today and how it gave you clarity.
Yeah, my pleasure. So I think one of the elements to mention is, as a CEO, as a founder, one of the main things is that you need to bring clarity to the boards, but also to the teams about what's expected from them, what's expected from you. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, being in that position, it's a very lonely job. It's a place in which you need to spend time with a number of people, but these people who know don't have a lot of time, and that's where AI comes in. Now, the problem with AI, obviously, is if you don't tweak it well enough or you don't put the right things in place, it's a very, very big generalist. And so what I shared with a friend a couple of weeks ago, and I was surprised that they didn't do that, is how I went from brainstorming with AI based on my context, like I would have with a very strong sparring partner, a board member or so. And then from there, create 4 different types of documents. And I can show you some of the things that are very important for us or relevant for us. But the 4 types of documents, first is I do board presentations where we have, I use the Amazon 6-page, so Amazon story. It's basically 6-page, and the purpose is not to present any slides, is to give all the context. My board members are now used to it. They don't have to prepare anything. They spend the first 10, 15 minutes reading that document, and then everybody is at the same level. This helps me make sure everybody's at the same level. Usually board members are pretty smart, so they can wing it. Here, I'm sure everybody has exactly the same information. That's one document. Once based on the same discussion, the second document is a document for my executive team, where I basically outline a little bit the differences. What are we going to do? Why it's important? Why I need their backing. The third one is what I've called a change management document, which is more like for the current team in place. Why do we do change? Why it's important? And the last one is more like FAQ onboarding for newcomers who don't have the history, but just like, okay, this is a strategy we implement now. This is what it is. And so what I do, and if you want to, it's okay. I'll share my screen. So as a bit of a caveat, I have totally no IT background. I've been in IT for the last 10 years, but I don't know how to code. Don't ask me to code any Python code or anything like that. I'd suck at it. I won't be able to do it. But so if I share my screen for a second.
And I think one of the key elements here is that AI, when you think about it, especially the latest, most intelligent models, are really like at the level of a civil engineer that are extremely intelligent and smart and understand things like at a level that is amazing and can see patterns and stuff. But you need to give them the right context. Like today they know nothing about your business, they know nothing about your strategy. But once you give them context, it becomes absolutely amazing. And they are also amazing sparring partners to think and talk with you about that context.
Yeah, absolutely right. So I think it's as you mentioned, it's civil engineer with the level of context that you are willing to give it. If you don't give it context, it will wing it. It will tell you a lot of guesses and so on. But the more context you give, the better it is. So what I've done, I use Claude Code most of the time. It's really good for what I'm doing, and we're January 26 now. In 6 months' time it might change, but today Claude Code is really my Claude is my go-to, and maybe in next episodes we can talk about Claude Code and how I use it in different ways. But here, in this context, first step is I want to have a good brainstorm with the agent, and what I use is a feature called projects in there. And I have a number of projects. You can just create one and give it context. Here I have the one I use. And basically it's, the project is called Project Board. The instructions is that they need to play the role of a McKinsey consultant, but they don't have to write any document. So my goal with this is not for them to, what AI will do often is try to write a document. What I just want is to brainstorm together. And so I brainstorm on a number of elements. So I put down the ideas, the conclusions I had. One is we need to review, we have a certification program, and basically we need to review that. The go-to-market, a partner network that we want to put in place, and then what are the priorities if you want. So as you can see, I did that in December. And that's the second thing, the discussions I've had. And what I gave is some basic elements, PDF documents of 3 pages. I gave it some overall background with Excel that I had done. So I gave him some interesting things. And as things move forward, as I create more documents, I put them here as well. So he has more and more and more context about the company. And then it's a very simple discussion that starts with, I go at the top. I'm basically helping him, give him context a little bit and what I want to do. And then he asked me follow-up questions. So he's saying, okay, to understand the why behind it, what's happening behind it, then I give him responses. I use a tool called, like many people these days, Whisper, which allows me to just talk to him. So it's we can try it, give it a
Yeah.
try. And there's a shortcut on my keyboard, but basically this is, might mess up our audio, by the way. This is the quality of the feedback that is given, and you'll see it might mess up as well. This is the quality of the audio. It's really fantastic because it becomes really a talking partner. And so he did this. He then said, okay, this is summary of what I understand. Now let me do some research. So he did a lot of the heavy lifting. I know here, I think he came up with a number of elements. I know this is but if I go into, so back and forth, very smart cookie. And the more I give him information, the better it is. And because I talk, I don't have to spend hours writing any of these things. We went, he analyzed, okay, how does Six Sigma do it? How ICF does it? I have no idea who they are. Stuff. So he gave me some benchmarks as well, best practices, and it became a very interesting discussion.
And I think this is one of the most leveraged ways to use AI today is, in fact, instead of asking it questions like most people do, you reverse the process and you say, okay, here's the context. Now ask me questions. Please interview me. And it's like the best sparring partner you can have there. It's extremely intelligent. It never gets tired. It listens to you for as long as you want to talk. And yeah, it's one of the best ways, in fact, to really give it context is ask me questions to fill in the gaps, to understand it better, etc. And it's really, really good at that. And it completes. It makes you think about things you maybe forgot to explain because for you it's basic and it's basic knowledge. It will help you fill in the gaps and go even further.
Yeah. And so, I mean, this is obviously a long discussion, but it took me only half an hour or something like that. But what I do at the end is I ask him to create me a analysis document. So, which is going to lead as a foundational to make derivative documents. And that's a very long document that is here put in it's a simple MD file, so you can easily put that into in a Google Sheet or in Evernote or whatever. But it's a pretty long file. Why? Because then I'm going to use a second feature of Claude, which is artifact. And artifacts are a way to create all kind of things, documents, QR codes, and all of these things. What I use most of the time is the document feature. And so here I have a few of the artifacts that I then keep. And the same thing, I'm just loading this foundational document, which I do here at the beginning. Say, okay, document template. I just load the foundational document that I just downloaded. And then we go and we have a discussion. So we can create PDFs of 28 pages. And so here you have the rationale. Mm, wait, this is the roadmap. Let me go for the go-to-market strategy because that's where I created the board pack. He then creates, where are these documents here? So here the board documents, which is a 6-pager. And what I really like about it is if you click, you can ask to improve just that part of the document. So say, okay, here you missed up the numbers. It's not correct. Let's say it's 2.5 million. Okay, well, the fact that I do this, it changes it everywhere where I link it. So that's how I create the long documents. I mean, this is like 7-8 pages. I made it shorter because I think afterwards, version 2, I said, look, there's some mistakes, but also make it shorter. So he reduced also the amount of work. So version 3, version 4, every time I made a modification. And at some point, okay, let's please finish up the document. So here's the end document, and then we go into other types of the executive summary. So this is more for the executive team. Same content, same starting foundation, but much shorter for the executive team because I'm going to discuss this with them. And then I have the go-to-market executive summary, of course, a few changes. And then we went into the master document and then the FAQs and so on. I think that's a feature that people underuse a lot. But this combination of the project where you give a lot of the context that you use as a consultant, and then the artifact to create these documents, and then it's just like I usually do it in a markdown. And if I download that as a markdown, so markdown is this kind of format that is easily used. Let me show you what it gives in a Google Doc. I'll share you another screen for that. But it really an easy. Probably have to reshare my screen with you.
Yep.
Where are you now? Here. I'll stop sharing and share it again. This Google Doc. So here I'll create a new Google Documents, and you need to activate it. I'll show you what it is, but here, paste from Markdown, and the way to do that, if I'm not mistaken, I need to find it. Well, preferences.
It's there in preferences.
And then you need
absolutely.
to enable the Markdown. Once you do that, then it's a simple copy paste. So now I'm going to go into my downloads. In the meantime, it opens a very ugly text file that I just simply copy, and then normally, if I do it in Markdown, it's straight away like that, and that I can easily share with anybody.
Exactly.
And so this is the process I have. It takes you can write your whole strategy with a consultant in a matter of hours, and that's what or even minutes. But it's also what I hated is writing these documents took me ages. The strategy was in my head. I had all of these things, but writing them down, making these tables, making this research took ages. Here, the whole process is being simplified significantly.
Exactly. And there are a few things that make this really amazing. Is one, first of all, as you said, like the level of the models, that the fact that they're amazing sparring partners, but also the artifacts, which are these kind of documents. Artifacts is how Claude calls them. ChatGPT calls them canvas, I think. And the fact that you can then use Markdown, which is basically this text formatting file format, which is works across any type of editor like Google Docs. Makes it very shareable and easy to use. And I think I hope people see how different it is from what people traditionally do, which is just ask ChatGPT, write me a strategy document, give a couple of info, and then it spits out something. You copy that, you paste it, it doesn't look good, you need to reformat it. And also it doesn't have all of that context. You didn't do the interview me thing. Like all of these little things here and there make that in the end you have an amazing process to build these kind of documents extremely fast and also at a very, very high level.
Yeah, and I mean, we're beginning of January now, so I have some time, but for the board in March, I don't change a lot. I just I give the context, and then I said like, hey, ask me any questions you want. I need to give a board briefing about what happens, what are my topics, etc. Let's brainstorm what the topics are. Okay, yes, I think those are the two main topics you're right that we should. Of course, I'll have some, but it will be in my head, and in a matter of 40 minutes, 60 minutes, I'll have something really really good good as output with a minimum of effort.
And obviously you can reuse those foundational documents for anything else you do in the future, which obviously saves you even more time. We'll share the prompts and everything that you used if that can help anybody. And I think obviously this is the very start of our kind of adventure exploring and documenting what we do with AI. If you have any questions, if people have any topics they would like to deep dive into or anything like that, please share and we'll make sure to cover them in our next episodes, I guess.
Perfect. Thanks, Madison.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the Executive AI Show. If you liked what you just heard, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who'd find it valuable too. See you in the next one. Have a great day.